how to build self-confidence. And guys, I want to share with you in this quick video here today with you 4 simple steps in terms of how to build that self-confidence and how to build it instantly. Now, I'm saying this from personal experience because a lot of people see me today traveling the world, speaking on stages in front of hundreds and thousands of people, sharing the big stages with the big speakers out there, and they think that I was born with confidence. But what a lot of people don't know, that through growing up, I was the shy boy from school. So I was the kid who used to actually sit in the corner of the classroom, afraid to put my hand up. And I remember even growing up, even in my early 20s, I would go to some events and where I need to speak to people, and I would really freak out. In fact, I would hide in the toilets because I was so scared of speaking to people, especially people I've never spoke to before, right? And sometimes when I don't know if you've ever felt this before, sometimes when I was speaking to people, there'd be times where I would actually be speaking and then my face would go red, and then I would get to a certain word and then nothing else comes out. And I used to get really confused. So why does all of this type of stuff happen? And until I started to realize what is actually going on, what are the problems behind confidence, and how do you actually gain it, and how do you actually gain it instantly, everything in my life started to shift. And now I eat these presentations for breakfast. I have these weekends every single weekend flying all across the world. And in this video, I want to share with you exactly how I did it and exactly how the step-by-step formula, how I shared with millions and millions of people all around the world how they can do it too. So guys, before we get into it, show reel, hit it.
People have today isn't that they're struggling, isn't that they can't get out of their shit. It's because the shit that they're in isn't big enough. And why I say that is because if that shit was big enough right now, if the people had a gun pointed to their head, they would actually get their ass moving. Always understand that emotions is what leads to motion. It's energy in motion. So if your emotional drive is not strong enough, you're not going to do anything to get out of it.
What's up guys, Erico here, international speaker, entrepreneur and best-selling author. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the 4 steps, the step-by-step proven formula to gain confidence instantly. Okay, now I was actually just making some notes on this because I've got an event this weekend. I'm going to be actually sharing this stuff from stage, so I'm taking you behind the scenes so you guys get the stuff before the guys even do on this at this event. So the first thing is what we call a cognitive reframe, and when I learned this, it was one of the most powerful things that I learned. Why? Is because what I realized was this: a lot of the fear, in fact they say 90% of the fear, right, is actually just things that happen in our head. It's not real. Fear, in fact, they say false evidence appearing real. That's how we look at fear. It's not real. It's just what our mind thinks of it, right? And it makes up all of these problems. And you probably had this before. They say 90% of the things we worry about never happen. So we're kind of like, oh no, it's going to be so bad, it's going to be so bad, it's going to be so bad. Oh, what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? And our mind kind of connects and it gets worse and worse and closer to the time of your performance or needing to speak to people or whatever it is, maybe just in an everyday conversation, and you get freaked out by that like I used to. And how do we actually prepare for times like that? And how do you actually gain the confidence? The first thing is what we call a cognitive reframe. And what does that mean? It means that in our minds, we will think of the situation to be like a very scary situation. Okay, I want to give you an example here. So prior to getting confident on stage, right, I was the shy boy. So how did I actually get to do this? Very simple. I was taught this process that I'm sharing with you now, and it changed everything for me. The process is to think of, if you were to go onto stage, right, if you think about it, what do people go on stage for? They go on stage for a performance, right? And when we're doing a performance, we always think that we need to make the performance perfect. And so we're always really freaked out. What if we get it wrong? What if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? But if we think about it this way, sometimes in the comfortable one-to-one conversations we have with the people we know, if we cognitive reframe and reframe the situation so we know and we tell ourselves, right, that this is not a performance. So I used to actually just close my eyes and say, this is not a performance. This does not need to be perfect. This is not a performance. And I keep repeating myself because we are programming our own minds to believe what we are saying. So after saying that, what do? I reframe the situation and I call it a conversation. And I say, this is purely a conversation. I'm just going to go up on stage just to have a conversation. That's all. Okay? And then I put myself right? In that frame of mind that I'm just going to go on and have a conversation. Now, how do we do it? Let's say, for example, for some of you, it's not something so big as going on stage. It may just be, hey, sometimes when you meet some strangers, you're very uncomfortable with that. So how do you make it more comfortable? Very simple. You take the stranger, right? That feeling. Now bring it to your mind right now and think of it. How do you usually feel when you get panicky? How do you actually feel when you get lost for words? How do you feel when your face goes red? How do you feel when you don't know what to talk about? Now bring that into your head. Then what you do is then you get rid of that and you replace that image with a confident image of something or someone, right? Some situation where you've been very confident in. And that's called reframing the situation. So you prepare yourself before that conversation, before that meeting, with one time that you felt comfortable before, right? Now, there's actually there's more advanced stuff to this. We could actually do like anchoring or tapping and all this type of stuff. But if you're actually interested in this stuff, I can make a deeper video on it. But it's just because when we do these like 10-minute videos, we got a very limited amount of time. So if you're interested in this stuff, I can go deeper in terms of tapping and anchoring. That will really help you too, okay? So we do a cognitive reframe. Now, point number 2, what do we do after the cognitive reframe? We do what we call a visualization. Now, some of you will look at this because when I first heard of visualization, I was like, why on earth am I doing this? This is so stupid. Close my eyes and pretend I'm confident, you know? Why do we do this? Well, actually, visualization, how I found it personally very, very useful, right, is to actually visualize that you've actually had the conversation already, that you've actually been on stage already, or whatever it is that freaks you out right now. Just visualize that you're in the situation now, and what would it feel like if you were confident in that situation? Now play that through your mind and play it again and play it again and play it again, right? If you were to ask yourself the question, if I was to feel confident in the situation, what would the picture look like? And visualize that. And because while we visualize this stuff, we are actually practicing this stuff on a subconscious level. We don't even realize it's happening. So when it comes to D-Day, when it comes to that time when you need to get out there and you need to actually, perform, you know that in your mind, that subconscious mind, you've done it a million times already. Even though it's visual, it's still equally as powerful. Now, some of you will think that's a bit weird, but it actually works. And this is actually scientifically proven. There was actually a scientist, I forget his name now, but he was talking about how he had 2 people, and one of them were actually training their finger muscle, right? So they were actually training their finger muscle every single day. And the other one was thinking about training their finger muscle. So they were actually thinking about it. But in the end, the one who was thinking about it every single day, more often, the muscle growth on the finger was actually more than the person who was actually doing the thing. So that shows you the power of the mind. And like I said, this is proven stuff. It's not I'm making it up. It's actual facts out there, okay? Now, the third thing, and this is very powerful, is to change your outer persona. Now, what does this mean? It means that we change our outer world. You know, a lot of people, they say change your inner world to change your outer world. But what a lot of people don't realize is that your outer world also changes the inner world. Right? It's like if outside was hot, then you get hot inside. Outside was cold, you get you get cold inside. So your outer actually affects your inner too. So it's not just about changing your inner. And they work vice versa. They work hand in hand. So what does this mean? It means you can do it through physiology, your body language. You can do it through tonality. You can do it through eye contact. I can go into more details about this if you guys want. I can make a separate video talking about this type of stuff if you want to know about body language and how to practice this stuff, okay? But the basis of it is if you change your outer persona, meaning that you give this perceived confidence. And I used to do this when I used to practice going on stage, because as I practice on stage, I used to freak out. I used to be like, no, they're calling my name, I don't want to go up, right? And during that time, I would be like, okay, just pretend you're confident, right? Pretend you're confident. So I would go up and I'll be like, and this, by the way, you need to understand your body language, right, is your persona. Your tonality is your persona. So this is also, some people call it fake it till you make it, but it's not really faking it because your outer world then determines what your inner world becomes. That's the reality. And so what I used to do is I used to just, okay, pretend to be confident, speak with power. Although I'm really, really freaking out right now, I'm going to pretend I have a lot of power and have a lot of confidence. Then what happens is people actually think, whoa, he seems to have a lot more confidence. Now think about this for a second. If you went onto stage, for example, and you were really panicky, right? How do you think people look at you? When you're really shy and really panicky, how do people look at you? People look at you like this, they're like, right? They start twisting their face because they're like, oh, I want to help you out, but I don't know what to say, and oh, poor you, you know, bless you, you know. And these thoughts come to mind, and you can read it in their face. But when you're speaking to someone and you can read that type of stuff in their face, how do you feel? You feel less and less and less confident while we go on, right? So what we do instead is we start changing that. We change our persona, and then the outside world starts seeing us differently. And then when they see us differently, their reaction is different. They see us like, oh, this person's quite confident. Now, when you see people smiling at you, you naturally gain more inner confidence. So that becomes very, very powerful, how to change your outer persona. Again, if you want a separate video on that, I can go through the step-by-step in terms of body language, tonality, and all this type of stuff. Really cool. Anyway, we're going to go on to number 4. Point number 4, okay, is practice. And what does this mean? Practice, practice, practice. You gotta practice. I mean, in my first year of speaking, I spoke on 72 stages in that year, right? Literally every single week I was speaking on different stages in front of different people. Now, the more you practice the uncomfortable, if you're taking notes, I want you to write this down. Those of you who are used to my videos, you know to comment below, right? I want you to write this down, type it out so that it instills in your learning, right? The more you practice the uncomfortable, the more comfortable the uncomfortable becomes. The more you practice the uncomfortable, the more comfortable the uncomfortable becomes. Right? It's very simple. It sounds very simple as well, but you just gotta do it. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Embrace fear. Know that every time you're in that fear, you don't feel confidence, right? It's because you're not familiar with that environment. But every time you get familiar with it, you grow, you become a bigger version of yourself, right? And at the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen? Right? People may laugh, people may have certain thoughts, but so what? Because you know along the way you're gonna grow. And by the time you know it, the more you practice it, the faster you practice it, by the time you know it, you're that person with that big confidence out there where people look at you, they're like, whoa, how are you so charismatic? How do you have so much power? How do you have so much confidence? And you can shift that instantly because I did too. And guys, I just want to finish off here. If you guys enjoyed this video, please, if you found it useful, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, and please do comment below. Let me know where you've tuned in. It's always nice to know where everybody is all around the world. And finally, remember, if you have not already, hit the subscribe button because every single day I'm making daily inspirational videos to keep you guys intact and in line for your goals for 2018. And that's it for today. Ciao.